Unlocking podcast. Uh, we're in our usual positions. I'm Logan in your upper right. I guess this is your upper right. Jason's down there partying it up, pointing at everybody. Caleb is on the upper left there, ready to roll. It is an exciting week because we have another fast food review.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited about this. We have the KFC fries, or more, I guess if you would want to call it Can we evaluate the entire KFC fill-up box while we're at it?
Sans biscuit, yes.
What's wrong with the biscuit?
I did not eat the biscuit because I'm trying to work on calories.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
just
You're
a
counting your
completely
carbs.
empty 250 calories there. So I threw
God,
that
but
away.
is it really empty when it's that delicious?
I don't know, Caleb. I'm in between here. I get it. You're trying to better yourself, but biscuits are good.
But you can do a lot with 250 calories. And let me tell you, that little biscuit, not a lot.
I don't know. It helped as part of the filling up part of the fill-up box,
Okay,
as he sits there with a Chick-fil-A
I did eat the
cup.
cookie.
See,
is it a tea or is it a shake?
It's tea.
Nope, it's a 500 calorie shake.
Oh God.
It's not that much. It's not that much.
I don't know, a cake shake from Portillo's.
Yeah,
those things are like 1,000.
It's not that bad. Yeah,
the new place where we work, Jason, those shakes are over 1,000 each.
The at Timbers?
Yeah, Timbers. Those all their shakes are over 1,000.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Nice.
Whoa.
I'll stop by tomorrow.
Yeah, Logan's trying to put on 5 real quick.
Yeah.
I'll take 2.
I'll have 2. Thank you. So let's get to the do we start with the fries? I mean, that was the intentional piece. Was the fries. So okay. Is it fried in the same batter as the chicken? It sure seems like it.
I think so. I think that's the whole point.
So is this technically a chicken fry?
No, because it's not got the protein in the middle.
I know. I don't know what a chicken fry really is, though. I don't know.
It's that chicken fries they're basically whatever they put inside that delicious chicken boat sandwich that I love so much, and then they just slice it up.
Oh, okay.
The stretched out chicken of the chicken,
rebreaded.
Yeah, basically like the rib meat leavings, and then they like pound it out, and oh, that sounded terrible. Slice it up, and that's it. So they're chicken batter fries.
I'm thinking they're just fried in the chicken in the same oil as the chicken. I don't think they're batter. I think it's just the same oil. So it's.
Let's cut to the chase. Mm-hmm. They're delicious.
They are.
Yeah,
those are some good fries.
They got like is it like Parmesan or something on them? It tasted like.
No, I don't know. That's why I think it's something. It's fried in the same stuff as the chicken because I think it's part of the Colonel's secret recipe.
Well, it's the same batter is what we're really after. It's the same seasoning.
Yeah.
It's the same dredge.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was more seasoning on it than the chicken, though.
Oh, really?
Maybe I'm wrong.
Nah, maybe it is different. Either way, it tastes a lot like the Colonel's fried crunchy goodness. It really does.
It did.
And it's in a fry. And there's a ton of them. Did you guys get a ton of them? I got my bag was like exploding. It was like 5 guys.
Yeah, I ordered the 3 strips. Definitely got 4.
Oh,
that was a nice bonus. I was like, whoa! I was like, that'll work.
Free strip.
But yeah, that's a definite high ranking of a fast food French fry, right there. That was high up there. I can even say I like the chicken tenders too. I thought they were pretty good.
They're decent. Yeah.
As fast food chicken tenders go. Okay, we're gonna have to do a separate ranking of this one day.
I think so. I think we're here to accomplish one thing.
Okay, yeah.
The chicken strips and the French fries, the new fries, good. We all agree.
We all agree.
Better than Wendy's breakfast.
Oh
God,
yes.
I would have the chicken strips for breakfast. Easy. Over Wendy's breakfast. Whew. They can remodel Wendy's as much as they want. I'm not going back for breakfast.
No.
I won't do it. I won't do it.
No. And that cookie that you sacrificed the biscuit for, do you regret that decision?
Did you not get both?
I got both.
Oh, okay.
Since you chose to go cookie.
Well, see, the cookie is only 100 calories.
Oh, it's only 100 calories. Okay.
Yeah, and it tastes like a 100-calorie cookie.
It was pretty bad. That was a
bummer.
pretty bad cookie.
Yeah,
I
not
was-
not very good.
Yeah, I'm a cookie guy, and I struggled to finish that thing. I was like, this is just not good.
Yeah.
So
Well, Logan, you put Crisco in your cookies, so
I do.
You know,
that was probably made of butter, and that's just not real. No, gotta go full fat. So are we ranking the fries on their own, or are we ranking the entire the fill-up box as a whole?
you're talking score,
Yeah, score.
like we did last week.
Yes.
8 out of 10 for the whole box.
The whole box. Whole box.
Whole box. The fries really do carry some weight there, but the chicken strips didn't hurt.
No,
Didn't hurt. I was pleased. I would eat it again. I would eat it again.
I would too. I would agree. I think an 8 out of 10 is the right score for me too.
I think you nailed it. I mean, it's not quite a 9. If it's leaning 9, it's not leaning 7. It's leaning 9.
Yeah, it's
but
not quite like
quite there.
Yeah, it's an 8.5. Like
if we were GameSpot, we'd give it an 8.5.
8.64721.
Okay, let's do a quick analysis here. If there was the Colonel on your right and Chick-fil-A on your left, and there was your only option at Chick-fil-A was a 3-strip meal with fries, and your only option at KFC is a 3-strip meal and as the fill-up box, where are you going?
Does Chick-fil-A have strips?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would
Uh-oh.
never think to order that there.
Uh-oh.
What do you usually get at Chick-fil-A?
I think that it could be next
The
week's
sandwich?
assignment. The sandwich?
Maybe that's next.
He
Like,
gets
what
the
else do you get
Chick-fil-A,
at
Logan.
Chick-fil-A?
He gets
Right.
the Chick-fil-A.
By
the way,
that's
I
true.
just put that together. Like last
Really?
week. Had no idea what filet meant. I was like, this is the weirdest name ever. And I'm only thinking that to myself. And then I realized, filet. Filet, guys. Like the sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what I do either. Man, those fries at Chick-fil-A are real good too. So,
Is that next week's assignment then?
well, I mean, I don't know. So we do have one new fast food item that's probably a limited time
okay.
item.
What is it?
What are you shaking your head at, Jason? I don't know.
The fries at Chick-fil-A?
Fries at Chick-fil-A are amazing. What are you talking about?
We need to
The waffle
move
fries?
on.
I
We need
don't
to
like
move
waffle
on.
fries.
We need to move on.
Oh,
What's this limited time thing?
Hardee's is doing a prime rib sandwich.
Oh God. I saw that last night. Caleb, you're gonna need to not eat for 2
Yeah.
days.
They're also offering it for breakfast.
Let me look it up.
You
I'll
can
look
get
it
the prime. So you can get a prime rib burger. So it's burger plus prime rib on top of it. Of course, because of course you can't just have a burger or a prime rib sandwich. And then they also have a breakfast one that's prime rib with egg and cheese. And then they have the prime rib breakfast burrito, where you just replace the sausage with prime rib.
Can we get any one of these items? Could we do that? Like pick your own.
Yeah,
pick the one you
pick
prefer.
your poison.
I don't know. I saw the burger last night on. It was a Finals
Yeah, it
commercial.
was probably a Finals commercial.
They're just like they're dropping the prime rib on top of the.
He's certain already.
Give us the number.
Oh,
Give us
gosh.
the number, Caleb. What is it?
Just that burger alone.
Just the burger alone, I'm gonna guess is probably 1,700 calories.
Oh no, it's not that high.
Okay, all right.
That would be ridiculous.
Okay. I don't know. Is it over 1,000?
No, it's not. It's about 800.
Oh, that's actually not that bad.
Okay.
I mean, you know it's
That-
gonna
that
fill you up
means-
for a while. That's what I guess I'm saying. You get it for lunch, you may not really want much for dinner.
But that's just the burger. So you're talking about getting
And
what are you
fries.
talking about getting? And
I don't know if-
fries?
I mean, you don't have to get the fries, I guess. You don't have to, because you could get
What
the
are the
breakfast.
options here? What can I what
There's a-
else can
There's a breakfast burrito.
as long as it has the prime rib in it, I'm good?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll do some research and I'll find something.
and there's a biscuit. There's
Okay.
the burrito and the biscuit. So yeah, these things are
Okay.
out there. So is that
Okay.
the challenge for next week then?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. The next week's challenge then is the Hardee's prime rib, fast food prime rib. What the hell are we thinking?
Here goes.
It's a bad decision all around. Okay.
To finish your question, Logan,
Yes.
I'm going to KFC. I'm going to choose KFC
You're gonna
over
go
the Chick-fil-A
KFC? Okay.
strips. That's where I'm at.
I think if
Maybe we'll have Caleb try the strips sometime, and then we'll see where we're
I
at.
should.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised at your guys' thoughts on the waffle fries though.
Is there just the one Hardee's in town?
Now there is.
Now,
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
College.
We're
out.
lucky we have one at all. I mean, thank
Yeah.
God it's still.
Right.
What would we do without it?
I don't know.
Not eat hard. That's not an option.
No, it's not an option at all. Gosh, so let's break into video games we've been playing. Jason, I'm seeing above your shoulder that you've got some achievement tracker going on with Marvel's Avengers. So
Oh, do I really? Yeah, it stopped. I got
it
as far as
stopped.
I could before the podcast. I'm right there. I'm right there at the end, I think.
You think you're at the end? Are you in New York or New Jersey? I
Yes.
guess. Okay, so yeah, you're pretty darn close to the end. Then
Yeah.
I think you can probably still share your thoughts on it at this point.
Yeah, enough. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll finish it. And I probably won't have anything. There's probably not enough to add after I finish it. to be
No,
honest.
yeah, so
we can talk about it.
Mhm. Yeah, anything? I mean, you've heard our talk about it. What are your thoughts on the game?
The thing I kept coming back to of our conversation or your conversation, the both of you talking about the tiers of Avenger,
Mhm.
and it's for me, it's like for the Avengers that I love to play,
Mhm.
it's like it's not even the same game in a way.
Mhm.
The controls for the good Avengers are fine, like it's fine, and the bad Avengers, it's like there's a ton of lag and slop in the controls,
Mhm.
and the really bad. I think the tough thing for me is early on when you're saddled to the three worst characters right away, and it does not start strong. It does not start strong.
The story does, I
the
think.
story's
The
fine.
story
Yeah,
starts strong. I
it
think.
ratchets up the stakes of the story pretty well right away. But good Lord, I don't think it's very fun for the first 3.5 hours. I was struggling.
I didn't mind Miss Marvel as much, but I didn't really care for Hulk at all.
I didn't like either of them
Mm.
at all, really.
Mm.
I think the control slop was mostly with Miss Marvel, just button latency, input latency, and then when you're casually walking around, it still has some really huge lag. At least while I was on a 1X. I don't know if it was better on PS4, but there's some input lag for sure in that game. But that doesn't really impact it's just kind of like, okay, I'm walking. Come on, controller, walk, walk, walk. It's weird coming off really like high level AAA games. And the two things kept crossing my mind was character tiers, which I said. And then, I've been talking about that AA game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this game is that AA game.
But it was supposed to be a AAA game. That's the other thing. Intended to be a AAA game.
Right. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like those budget games of the generation prior. If you guys had asked me this question, or if you had asked me if I like it on Wednesday, I would have said no. But tonight, after playing the second half of the campaign, I don't hate it, and I could also see the folks that enjoy the Marvel Universe that are looking to slip into something comfortable and kind of just have this be their lifestyle game. I could see how you could just kind of mindlessly farm and enjoy it because you like these characters. I can see how players would enjoy that, and I was not there for the first half of the game. I was pretty unhappy to be playing it, honestly. But I'm warmer on it now for sure. I think the reviews are right on. I think it's like a 65 to 75
Mhm.
game.
Agreed. Yeah.
I'm glad I played it. I will not go back. I will finish the campaign, and I'm glad I saw it. It's not as bad as some people say, and it's not as good as some people say.
Mhm.
That's my thoughts on it.
Who's saying it's good?
I'm sure. Well, I mean,
Okay, I guess
the community around it.
There's
likes it well
there
enough.
is a probably community around it that likes it well enough. I just haven't heard many other reviewers or anything be like, "Oh, this thing's great" or anything else.
Now,
Like,
I think users out there that want to cape up, pun
oh,
intended,
yeah,
for this. I think there are people out there that want this to succeed and will keep playing it because they like these characters enough.
oh yeah. I mean,
And that's fine. That's fine. Good for you if
Mhm.
this is your thing. It is not my thing.
Yeah, got it.
Who's your favorite character again? You guys, who's your? I know Caleb had a A tier. Logan had an S tier.
Black Widow.
Black
Mhm.
Widow. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
She
I agree.
is.
I like her and Cap.
Mhm.
Those
That's
are my two favorite characters.
that is.
And Thor is
I like Thor. All right too.
close-ish.
But those are the most fluid characters. Like
Yeah.
those feel like well researched action game play, like gameplay.
Yep.
And then the rest of it is just. I mean, Iron Man's fine, but like they force you to, you have to meter burn all that stuff. And
I wonder if there was.
If you're Iron Man, you want to be freaking Iron Man. Like not like I'm out of. Iron Man doesn't punch anybody.
Right. I mean, I think if they created a true, which maybe that Iron Man VR game is a little bit better about that, but a true Iron Man focused third person action game, maybe they could do it right. But that's tough to. I mean, to try to, you're limiting what he can do within the walls of that game that you also have to build Captain America around, and it's just, how do you do that?
That's a good point.
So, yeah, I think that's
Th-
they
Yeah,
did
that's a good
something
point. You got to have them all function in the same space, which is a challenge.
right from a programming standpoint and an overall just okay. We built a
Design.
structure of this game, and it has to meet the structure and the structure of the entire build of everything. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, there was those. I didn't mind the little area thing that you did with where you had to fly with Iron Man. Like there was all the there was a set piece more than anything because you were just kind of
Sure.
flying through a set piece. But hey, it was at least me doing something with Iron Man that he can do. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are set pieces, like you said.
Mhm.
That's literally the
Oh.
only game I played this week. So
All right.
that's what I've been playing. I'm wrapping it up, and I will then go back to. Well, I don't know. I do want to finish Spiritfarer and Ghost of Tsushima because I'm realizing I was kind of taking inventory of the games this year, and those are definitely contenders for my personal list.
Mhm.
And so I want to go back to those. But do either of you know anything about this Mafia Definitive Edition? It's
Wouldn't it just
different?
be the Mafia game?
I want to play that, but I mean it's a remake, so I'm like I'm pushing it off because I don't know if it would qualify or not.
Oh, that doesn't it?
If
I
I mean,
don't
it's
know.
just a-
Resident,
I don't know.
Resident Evil 2 counted in the same way that Mafia Definitive Edition would count
I guess I don't
because
know
it's a
enough
ground
about
up
it.
remake. Yeah, I mean, it's new artwork, new assets, new voice work, a story retelling. I mean, it's a game built from the ground up, just with the core concepts of the original. It is not like an up-resed version of
Right,
the old Mafia game, and
Yeah, Mafia
that's
2
the
and
argument we
3
had.
Yeah, Mafia 2 and 3 were up-res versions, but 1 was a complete remake. So
Yeah, and I wanted to play 1 because I never played 1, and I played 2 and 3. And
same.
what I've seen of those is my understanding it's a completely new game with the same story, but everything else is ground up made, which is the argument of Shadow of the Colossus that we had versus Resident Evil 2. Like, what is the exact same thing, and then what is a complete remake, which is why we counted Resident Evil 2 and didn't
Right.
count Shadow of the Colossus because it was the exact same game, really.
Yeah, it was the same
lost
thing.
that
They just
argument.
up-resed assets. I'm just looking through some stuff about Mafia.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that because I didn't really consider that. I lumped it in with Tony Hawk in that same
Hmm.
way of it's an old game, so I should prioritize new games, you know.
Right. Mafia was 2002. It's
Yeah.
an 18-year-old
A long time
game.
ago. Yeah. Which is why it can't. I think that
Mhm.
they've made some investments in it. So I will
Mhm.
I will at least research that too, Caleb. I'm not sure where I'm at on that. Maybe that's a rental, and then after that, fourth would probably be Maneater and Carry On, probably, but those are lower on the list.
Yeah, and I'll take over here and say one of the games that I think you should probably try to play before the end of the year is Hades.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
something else. It's a generally I'm not really into those roguelike type of games,
Mhm.
but this one really like it does something different because it's like normally when I'm done with a run in a roguelike, I'm like, oh man, I just lost everything. I have to restart all over. But this one, I'm like, okay, I have enough things to do this. And if I just do one more run, I can get this upgrade, or I can talk to all these people and see what they have to say and see if there's anything new. And then I want to do another run. So it really is hitting an itch for me that I didn't even know I had.
Hmm.
I'm only about probably 10 runs in, and I haven't even come close to getting to the end of the run, but it's a lot of fun, and I feel like I'm making progress every step of the way. So it's really rewarding that way.
That's what you want out of those games.
Mhm.
That's
I
only on
really
PC and Switch,
liked.
right?
You got it. Yes, PC and Switch. I was surprised how much I enjoyed Dead Cells. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, that was 2
So
years ago.
I'm willing to give Hades a shot. I think I just need
Yeah.
to figure out how to play it. Maybe I'll hook up a PC to my TV. Maybe play it on
It's
Steam.
also got that same, that developer does their art style is always relatively similar. Their music is always phenomenal. Their aesthetic is they always nail that. So
Super
it's got
Giant,
that.
Mhm.
So yeah, Super
right?
Giant. Yep.
Has that been your go to this week? Have you predominantly been playing that or anything else?
No, I haven't because I rented 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, which is yeah, I know, right? It's uh some people were talking about it like it has an amazing story. I'm only a little bit into that too. This week has been kind of crazy. But it's basically I don't know how to describe it so far, but it's a mostly a visual novel, but it's got like a strategy game that you play in between segments, and it's about these 13 mostly teenagers that for whatever reason can control giant mechs. It sounds like a stupid anime game, but it's doing some really interesting stuff so far with um there some of them are from different timelines and they're not really sure why, and there's one person that kind of connects everything, but they're really I have no idea what's going on. So you play as each one of them from their perspective. In the visual novel parts you play from the perspective of each one of them, and it reveals a little bit more about the story. um and then there's also like a flow chart, so like, okay, if I go back I can pick the other decision so that I see what happens if you like go after your friend in the cafeteria versus talking to the girl outside the classroom, stuff like that. And then you get the story that way, and then in between is the kind of the light strategy kind of game. That's actually pretty fun too.
Hmm.
Critics like this game.
Yeah.
That's why I was just looking at it, and
Yeah, and so I prioritize that because it's a rental, so
Sure, yeah.
right.
Was
so
our
Yeah.
local rental place where you got it?
no, I signed up for a month of GameFly to get this.
Okay, that's what I would
Yeah,
have been shocked if our local place had this, so
right.
that's why I was
Yeah,
Yeah.
asking.
I mean, every once in a while you do find something a little goofy at our rental place. I mean, I got Maneater there. That's a
yeah.
Yeah, true.
But I'll have more to say about that probably next week. It seems really cool so far, but and everyone keeps saying it's got such an amazing story. I haven't gotten to the amazing part of the story yet, but I can see how it would set up for that.
The art style is really nice.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's by Vanillaware, and they did Dragon's Crown, I think was the name of that game.
I'm not familiar with that.
Which had a really cool art style to it, but they kind of got a little bit, they got pretty well justified criticism for that, because every female character they had in that game was enormous boobs and butt and cleavage all over the place, and yeah.
Gotcha.
But this game definitely tones that down. Not all the way. There are a couple
There's
of
still
characters
some,
that are little, yeah. There's
I mean,
still
Mortal
a little bit of
Kombat
that,
still got a
but
little bit of that, you know. I mean,
yeah.
they've toned it down over the years too, but
You shut your mouth.
I didn't say it was bad. I just said it was there. Yeah. So you've been doing some Hades and some whatever
I think
Aegis
that's it. I feel like there
13
was
Sentinel,
13
Oh.
Sentinels.
13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Yes.
Yeah.
Aegeus?
Probably
How do you say
Aegis.
that
I'm
word?
not sure.
I think it's
don't know.
Aegis.
And then I did check out another anime game,
Of course.
Genshin Impact. I don't know if you guys have heard of this or not.
I feel like
It's
I've heard of
been-
it.
It's been floating around on Twitter. It's a free-to-play game. It's on PlayStation, PC, and mobile devices.
Okay.
And it's got a really, really nice aesthetic. It looks a lot like Breath of the Wild. But it plays like I guess it kind of plays like that a little bit, but it's got a gacha mechanic. So you roll for characters, and depending on which ones you get, you might be overpowered or you might be super weak. I'm not super far into it. I don't know if I'm going to go back, to be honest, because the combat just really didn't do anything for me. It's a lot of just like pressing buttons to advance. And there's a lot of customization, but like you get a party of 4 right away, and I don't want to. It's the same thing I was with Wasteland.
Not a party of 5.
I don't want to. Yeah, not party of 5. But I don't want to go into like each individual character in my party and like set up all of their equipment and try to figure out what to min max all that stuff. It's just too much.
Yeah, that
I don't
sounds like a
wanna
lot
do
of
that.
management work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This looks like a cross between like Dragon Quest and Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mostly
Aesthetically,
in style, yeah, not in gameplay that you've described anyway. Yeah, I appreciate you looking at this stuff though, Caleb, because it wouldn't have otherwise been on my radar at all.
Yeah.
So you don't think you'll go back though?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I got a lot of other
Okay.
stuff I want to play.
Yeah, no kidding. I hear
I
that.
mean, our big AAA releases were kind of good until the end of the month, right? With Watch Dogs. So there's
Watch
really
Dogs and then Assassin's
Watch
Creed right
Dogs.
after.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you count the Dark Pictures release in there?
No,
Well, it's a Halloween
No.
thing.
No. Okay. All right.
That's
I
good.
figured
You know,
that
that
out.
might still take about 4 or 5 hours of my time because I like those games. They're just silly, fun games. I like those.
Yeah, I'll play those.
But major
We forgot.
releases
Go ahead.
for the end. I was just gonna say major releases until the end of the month. I think that's about. Star Wars Squadrons, I think, is doing.
Yeah, Star Wars.
I
I'm
would
gonna
like
play
to.
that.
I would like to check that out.
Yeah.
So I think I might do that.
I hear the campaign's about 8 hours long, so
That's
that
what I
seems
heard
doable.
too. I heard 7, so it's probably somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
How's that doing critically?
Okay,
Good, I
I think
think,
mid
right?
80s. I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Really? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I know a couple people that have been playing it, and they said it is really fun, especially the multiplayer is really fun.
Okay.
But I mean, the people that I know playing it are also huge Star Wars fans, so take that with a grain of salt.
That's kind of like your
Well, you
Avengers
know,
thing. Yeah.
We gotta
You
let
like your thing.
Logan talk about the Avengers. You know.
yeah.
I don't even think that game's that good.
Good.
Imagine if you didn't like the Avengers, what you'd think of that game.
Me through the first 3 hours of it. That's me.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, this is hot garbage.
You
But I
used to
came
like
around.
the Avengers.
Yeah, it just at some point you reach a point of saturation where you gotta either jump all the way in or back away.
Mhm. Yeah. So Caleb Reed, that's what you played.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
me.
So for me, I finished Tell Me Why. That game's all right. Like, I don't want to say it's like, really good. I'd say it's a 7.
Okay.
Tell me
Um,
why.
tell you why. Why it's a 7? Um, they do a good.
That's
It's
actually higher than I thought, frankly. That
yeah.
seven's higher.
I
So
think
why does it
that's
get a 7?
why
And
does it
should
get
we play it?
Jason? I don't think it's for you. There. I've said it. I
It's
mean,
almost kind of a relief now when somebody is like, "Yeah, I don't think this game's for you." It's like, "Oh, thank God I don't have to
I
play
can
it."
go back to Ghost of Tsushima. Thank God.
yeah, I don't think
Not
this is not a
specifically this
Jason
game,
game.
but yeah.
Caleb, I think this is more of a game for you.
Okay.
Uh, I think it's they took a lot of the teen melodrama out of it, which I thought was good.
Oh, I
Well, no,
like
when I
that.
say a lot of it, um, it's a little. When I say teen melodramas out of it, it's a little more. Oh my gosh, are you guys still there?
Yeah.
I just it's got some stupid update.
Yep.
My screen still recording. Seriously. Okay, screen is still recording. All right, I may have to edit that out. Like I got a Cisco update. Cisco
Of
WebEx had to
course.
update, and it decided to just take my entire screen over. Um, gosh, okay. No, so anyway, the teen melodrama is a little more mixed in with like I'd say a little more young adult. So if I would say like early 20s versus uh versus high school melodrama. But there's a good mystery there. Good. I would say the character development's pretty good. With all of it, so I think there's a good amount of character development. They hit on a lot of hard subjects that I think are actually handled pretty well. Now, granted, I'm not part of one of those groups that's affected by one of those areas, but I felt like that they touched on. They never went too far, and they never went too soft. Like so there were things were addressed, but then things were. It was also like, oh yeah, but then we're moving on. So I think a lot of that's good. There's a the whole thing revolves around your mom why your mom was murdered, and you have this book that you reference a lot. It's called the Book of Goblins, and your mom helped write these stories and everything, and told you all these stories, and a lot of the puzzles in the game are solved by reading stories from the Book of Goblins. So you'll pull up your menu and read these stories, and they're pretty quick, like I'd say at most a 90-second read, but then those help you solve puzzles within the game. And they're pretty simple puzzles, but and it adds a little more context to it, provides a different game mechanic that you might not always see in the past. And you have every chapter of the book is eligible to you at the beginning, so you have to look through some of the titles of it, and they'll give you some hints of like, oh hey, it might be the princess and the God, I'm trying to remember what all the names of them were, but the mom was the fairy princess and you were the two goblins, but then all of the other people in the town are all different animals in the forest, and there's the bear and the raccoon and all of them. So you have to ultimately figure out who the people in the town are that match up to their spirit animal within the stories, and those will help you solve the puzzles.
At least it gives you something to break it up a little bit.
But yeah,
And I'm glad to hear there actually are some puzzles, because I felt like in Life is Strange 2 there really wasn't a whole lot of that.
no, there was not very many at all. I would say there's probably to end the game. There's the very last portion of it is one giant room full of puzzles, which is so that's actually pretty cool. That was a fun
Okay.
part to do that. And there was like 7 puzzles, and 4 of them were optional, and I was like, I'm doing all 4 of these these extra ones. These are actually kind of fun. But yeah, that was yeah, I think Caleb, I think this game is definitely more for you.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's about 7 to 8 hours when you do all 3 chapters. Each chapter is
I need to
about
just
a little over 2 hours apiece.
I need to take a week off in November and just hit stuff like this.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, and say like stuff's gonna start hitting pretty hard in November too, so That's why I'm glad I went ahead and got through this, just because I was wondering if is it going to make a top 10 for me? Probably not, but it was worth playing.
Okay. Fair enough.
So if you make it, if you get a chance to play it, sure. Is it, or am I going to fight for it for game of the year? No, no. But I think it's entertaining enough to maybe, like, if you're thinking about watching a teen melodrama, skip the teen melodrama, maybe play this.
Okay.
So, I also played Among Us, because that's the hot streaming game.
Yeah.
So I played it on mobile because you can play it
Yeah,
on mobile.
you are now the hot streaming game expert now too. 'Cause you
Yeah,
played
since
Fall
I played
Guys,
Fall
right?
Guys, yeah. So Among Us is not as bad as Fall Guys. Fall Guys is just a terrible Mario Party BS game that people shouldn't play, and it's really boring. And anyway, but Among Us, playing it by yourself is probably not going to be that fun. If you had a group of friends and you were playing Among Us, or having a little party game type of thing, that would be a fun game to play. But as a single player experience, that is just not really that great.
By single player, do you mean playing with other humans that you don't know?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, when
There's not like a AI mode or anything. That wouldn't work.
no,
would it?
that wouldn't work for that game. But yeah, just playing with that game is very much a group party game. I can see why people would want to play it on Twitch and be like, "Oh yeah, it's the green guy or it's the red guy," like it gives you something to do. But if you're just playing by yourself, it's kind of eh. Like if you had
Have you guys seen the guy that makes the he does the MLB playoff bracket in MS Paint? And so every round
no.
he updates it with a new drawing of the team that won in the bracket. And for Houston, he has just an orange imposter there from Among Us.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty all right.
Pretty good, yeah. I mean, and for a game with a very simplistic art style and in all reality, a simplistic type of game that you're playing, it's taken off very well for them and whoever the developer is on this, and so good for them. Like this is, we'll see. It's the thing with some of these type of games, like Fall Guys, I think is already pretty much just done. Like I think it was hot for 2 weeks and it's over. I mean, I don't. So Among Us is the new hot thing, but that's the new hot thing until the next new hot thing comes around.
They did do what I think is pretty smart, and they canceled Among Us 2.
They
which
did.
They had scheduled to come out this year. But they're rolling the features they had planned for Among Us 2 into Among Us 1, which I think is a really smart move to try to stay relevant as long as possible.
Right. I mean, yeah, they could. I mean, they can ride this train for a year maybe, and I mean, not everybody's going to be Fortnite and survive. I'm shocked Fortnite has survived as long as it has, because I think PUBG is almost down to nothing. I mean, there's still probably the stalwarts out there that are going to continue to play it, but I'm sure getting a match of 100 probably isn't what it used to be. Or you could just get out of a game real quick and get right back in 30 seconds. So, and I think that's kind of happening with Fall Guys too, where that game is, I think, only 50, something like that.
Something like that.
Somewhere around there. It's a weird number if I remember right. It's not. I don't think it's a nice round number. It's something goofy. But yeah, I mean that game. I'm not going to knock it by any means, but it's definitely not my. I'm not going to go. You're not going to go back to it. I'm not going to. So don't look for that streaming on the channel anytime soon.
Logan, we've been friends a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We've never really had that group of friends, like you and I would be like, hey, let's play this trivia game. And literally everyone else at that occasion is going to be like, okay, we'll try it. But like, we've never had like a group of gamer friends. Like we've never been a room full of Smash players.
No.
Like this just not the friends we've had.
We've had the Rock Band friends. We've had
but those people weren't gamers.
Those
were people that we were like, you do this, you learn how to play this because it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so like girlfriends now, then fiancés,
Yeah.
now wives played
Mhm.
that, and significant others played that at parties. So
Mhm.
like we made that a thing, but like I don't know, something like Among Us or other party or like a Mario Party. Like
Yeah.
we've just never had that group of friends.
With
I
some
mean,
Halo friends, and that was probably about. And even at that, you're sitting at your house. I mean,
Right.
because you're playing that
yeah.
multiplayer on your TV. But
I've had some decent luck with Jackbox, but that's about
Jackbox,
as
yeah.
close as you get.
But it, again, that one is more of a like I can get my mom to play that
Yeah.
because all she needs is a phone. So yeah, we've
I
that was
think
one
that's
of the games
another.
that early
You could do.
quarantine started that we did a lot of streaming of Jackbox and playing that
You
with
can.
family and stuff.
You can do Among Us on your phone, can't you?
Yeah, that's how I played it.
Okay.
There's
So
a little nub in the bottom left corner that you use to just move your thumb around as just like a joystick. So yeah.
so maybe that does have some, party potential or whatever, but I don't think any of us are really going to many parties nowadays either. So
No, but I mean, even if you did something like this and play, that was kind of how we did. We did our Jackbox nights was we did them all on Zoom, and someone hosted and it just shared the screen, and then you could sit wherever you were at with the room code and do it on Zoom. Just because trying to explain Twitch or Discord to a 50-year-old aunt's not going to exactly go very well. So that, so we use Zoom because everybody knows how to use it.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's it for games. Game news of the week is finally not crazy, which is kind of nice. I'm trying to think if there was even anything worth really noting, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
The EA Play and Game Pass announcement is worth mentioning. That was the only thing that I
That
that I
was about a
thought.
month ago.
Was it a month ago? I thought it was
Yeah.
this week.
No, they just said a date this week, but that was the official announcement of it combining
Oh,
was
the
about a month
partnership
ago.
was?
Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I
So
think that
the date of right around the launch
they're
of
gonna
the
do
new
it the day
systems.
launch of new systems, but and I don't have they said if what games are gonna be on that at all, or like they're not launching with like, oh hey, and this cool game is gonna be on there day one.
I think
I
it's
just saw
just
the date.
whatever's on there now,
Yeah,
because
it's always
that's
about
already a service.
it's always
But
the sports game a year later,
yeah,
and then usually like like of a Battlefield or something like that. Or I think both Titanfalls will be on there. Um, yeah, which I mean Titanfall you can buy for like $4 some places for some. Play more
I don't know.
Titanfall.
It feels like to me that they almost saved EA Play to me in a way,
Yeah,
or threw some money at them because I don't know how much of a value proposition there was there for EA Play.
if it was a EA Play where you got everything, where you could get FIFA, Madden, all Star Wars, all that stuff, like for annual price, then maybe it would be. But when it's
you can. That they also have that service.
yeah, EA Origin plus something.
They changed all the names of it. It's EA. What is it now? EA Access or something like that. EA. I don't
All
remember now.
access or something, but
It's like Premiere, I think, is the
Premiere,
tier that has all the new stuff. And I
Origin,
think that
Premiere.
one. I don't think Origin is in the name
Oh, they
anymore.
take Origin away.
I think they
Okay.
took Origin away. But that I think it's $15 a month gets you the latest stuff, which might actually be how I play Squadrons. I might
Right.
just pick up a month of that. And
If I had a
play it.
PC, I would do that because you can't do that on console.
Right.
Same with
You might.
Ubisoft's.
Are you sure you can't?
I'm pretty sure it's just PC for both the Ubisoft and the EA thing.
It could be.
I think I might look into it because I mean
Yeah, we're gonna have to look into that.
I mean for Ubisoft especially, like I would on
Oh yeah,
October
I'm
twenty
definitely doing that.
fourth, I would buy a
Get
month
Watch
of
Dogs and Assassin's Creed.
Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, play it for a month or two, and I've only spent $30 on it and cancel the service. But I don't know if it's available on a console. Pretty sure it's not console.
Yeah, I don't know about the Ubisoft one. That one might be console. The EA one might be, but I'm not sure. To look.
Whatever happened to Roller Champions?
I don't know.
It's not even
The
on
game
their.
was fun.
It's not even on their website anymore.
Really?
My kids got into Just Dance all of a sudden, so I was looking on Ubisoft's website because there's a Just Dance Unlimited thing. So I signed them up for that because you get every Just Dance song for $25 for the year, which that's a lot of Just Dance stuff from the last 10 years. Uh, so I got them that, but I was like, oh hey, I looked at their games list and what was coming out, and Roller Champions is not even there.
Hmm.
So the game was all right when we played that, and now it's not even on our radar.
I don't
Ubisoft
know if
has
I
a
really care. That was a time and place type of thing. I don't know if I
yeah.
would actually play it if it
I don't
was
know if I
out
would either, but it's more
properly.
just interesting that it was a we played a version of that game,
Yeah.
and Ubisoft has problems with games actually making it to release sometimes.
Yeah.
Like there's been a lot of those like, "Oh, hey, we've got this game, we're showing it off," and then we've never see it again. Cuz is Skull and Bones still a thing?
Who knows?
Is Beyond Good and Evil still a thing?
Who
I think
knows?
we would have a better sense of that had E3 happened,
Maybe.
because you would have press digging into,
Mm.
at least wise asking, limited access to people taking appointments,
Mhm.
and someone with one of these outlets somewhere would have asked, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" And they would have had to have a canned statement ready, or announce whether or not it's dead. You know, but a lot of publishers weren't put in that position because the event didn't happen this
Right.
year. May not happen again.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things we may not have access to as much going forward. Things just might fizzle.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have no segue, but Jason, TV.
Any other
Yeah, I was
news?
gonna say
Is that it?
I
I don't
can't
think
think of
that
any other big news of the week at all.
speaking of TV,
Uh-huh.
you guys have now, it is October officially.
Yes.
So congratulations, you made it to October 2020. The achievement you have unlocked.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's not say the achievement, because that's more of a
I think
milestone.
surviving at this point.
The perk you have unlocked,
Uh-huh.
we'll say, is that you have earned entertainment, Jason. And entertainment, Jason grinds. He relentlessly is entertained.
Mhm.
He consumes video games and TV at a disgusting rate, an
I've been
absurd
doing that
rate,
a lot this week
a
too.
sick rate.
Uh-huh.
And so,
He
knowing
becomes
that
Caleb for a
there's
couple of months.
yes, I have leveled up. Caleb, I've decided to ignore all the things in my life that are more important and really prioritize this
You rewatched
sub
Yellowstone,
20
didn't you?
view YouTube release every week. That is the top priority for me. And having said that, I played a crap ton of Avengers as much as I could, you guys know, and then I watched I watched 4 television shows.
Ooh.
I finished Perry Mason.
Yes.
Logan, would you like to talk about Perry Mason a little bit?
I would. Caleb, what I guess how deep do you want to go?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm likely
I'm
not
not.
going to watch it. So
Okay. Go ahead, Jason.
I like the setting of that show a lot.
Uh-huh.
I think that it makes me think of LA Noir, and I
Very
get fuzzy
much so.
feelings when I think of
Th-
LA Noir
there's
because
a
it's
lot
just
of
of a time.
there's a lot of good music that reminds you of LA Noir in that show for sure.
I think Lithgow's performance is good because he's always great.
Mhm.
I think Matthew Rhys is great. I don't know. I think what I predict for this show
Mhm.
is simple. Caleb, I'll relate this to you. I predict this show to be on for 3-4 seasons max.
Mhm.
And it will go from being average to good to great. Is my prediction. Like a leftovers kind of a thing.
I was
or
just going to say
Treme
like
kind of a thing.
leftovers.
I really think that's where we're heading. I think that this has been received lukewarm, and that will be until you become more invested in Matthew Rhys's character, and that show will inevitably become a critical darling by the end of its run, in the way that many HBO shows are kind of received with like, it's fine. It's really well produced because it's an HBO show, right? But I think that there's a lot of room for this show to grow.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion, and I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great.
Good. Yeah, that's good, not great. I think the landing was pretty rough at the end. They just didn't really wrap it up very well at all. In something that I think they could have wrapped up better. I'm not sure how I would have written it, but boy, it wasn't that. Uh, yeah, I think they did a lot of good character development, getting it teed up for. Yep, this is everybody's role in the next season. We've got the young upstart woman ready to go and she's going to take on the legal world, and you've got the new PI guy who's willing to defy the odds of being a colored man, and and I mean they've got everything set up and ready. It's just not uh,
It's
but
kind
they,
of a Perry Mason Begins.
yeah,
origin
very much
story.
so. It was the origin story of Perry Mason,
And
and
not all of it is super interesting. I
no.
think that they go for the I was impacted more about like PTSD Perry than I was. They just kind of abandoned that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like he's done some awful things in the war. He comes back, he's messed up, and then all of a sudden he's given the reins as the lawyer on this case, which is pretty absurd.
Like
And
they literally they
you're
went
a
through his
lawyer.
they did a
You're a
law
lawyer.
school montage. Like seriously went through law school in a montage, like 1980s style. That was bad.
And the
Like,
woman that's trying to work him over for the property, which is kind of interesting because he's in a relationship where he's being worked the whole season.
mhm.
And that kind of falls flat because he's like, I'm a lawyer now. He's just like, ew.
Right.
Ew.
And it's
Ew.
like, but then it's like, okay, but also does that mean you now have money to pay for your taxes that you owe? Like,
No.
I don't know
Yeah.
what that whole thing was about. It was, and like she shows up at the worst possible time to tell him, and that's been like this running thing the whole season, and they kind of deal with it in about 90 seconds.
The show's it kind of wraps like that in a haphazard way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of it's.
Yeah, that's what I
I
said. The
think
landing was
it gets
just
caught and like, and I'll talk about this a little bit later with another show I watched, but I think the they're, especially with HBO shows, like they want to be uncompromising to the point where sometimes they don't want it to be satisfactory. Like not everything is True Blood. Not everybody gets theirs. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? And I think that this show didn't. It feels like it didn't know what it wanted. Like, oh, this is how it is. Sorry, but this is the harsh reality of it. Well, don't ratchet up the stakes so high and then
Yes.
cover it in like Yellowstone, cover it in salt and sugar and make it so
Yeah.
and then
Right. So Caleb, I mean, so can we just trigger this with a spoiler?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay. Spoiler for the next
Spoilers.
30 seconds. Okay. So this giant trial of the mother of the baby that was kidnapped and ultimately accidentally killed. They have her on trial for the murder of this child. You got 10 episodes. It's a mistrial.
Womp womp.
Yeah. And I think what they want to do by that, Caleb, is like, this is what really could happen. So deal. And I get that, but the show doesn't traffic in those kind of realities until that moment. And the only time it does is when they're handling delicately Perry's relationship with this dead child and how he wants to give the kid justice. And when he discovers what happened, he pieces together the botched kidnapping, how the child dies. All of that is very like, it's almost a different show
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, that's horrible. That's rough. And
So
and Matthew Rhys is very strong in those scenes, but I think it's Matthew Rhys carrying the show in those moments,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest of it is like he's only one actor in a sea of kind of chaos at the end.
C actors thrown in there. I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
do you
Mhm.
do you as the viewer know the truth,
Yes.
or are you learning it alongside?
And ultimately,
Okay.
the person gets their comeuppance, but not in a way that you'd expect, and then also that's not even that satisfying.
Hmm.
Maybe.
That's what I mean. That's what I
Right.
mean. They don't want it to. They don't want it to
Yeah.
be. But the show is not. It's not a. I'll talk about this later. It's not a David Simon show, Caleb. It's not The Wire. It's not The Deuce. It's not that. It is not a show that is grounded completely in reality because so much of it is absurd. Except for the stuff where they then eventually reveal what happens to the child, and that since that is Matthew Rhys on his own, it's him and his analysis. It's him and his imagination, and that's it. And that stuff's really strong. But yeah, when the bad guy goes, it's like, okay, he's gone.
It just falls on a fart. Like that basically
Yeah.
is kind of what it is. Like, oh.
Yeah, it's a bunch of garden workers that drowned the guy. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, what are those guys credited as, Logan? Like Hispanic Gentleman 1 and Hispanic Gentleman 2?
They have to be, and yet they murdered the guy.
Like the guy, right? Yeah. And this guy, meanwhile, has been like covering his tracks, which means somebody else gets killed and somebody else gets killed and somebody else gets killed.
Uh-huh.
And then he just kind of takes a drink. It's over.
And then the whole deal with the preacher woman and everything else, like,
leave that. Like that is all. It's
That-
like 30. You could skip 30 minutes of each episode. Really.
right? It could, because yeah, they didn't do anything to make that storyline significant by the end of it. The way they just ended it.
And you know why those scenes aren't great? Is because Matthew Rhys isn't in them. John Lithgow isn't in them.
But they
Shea
thought
Shea
she would-
Wiggums isn't in them. He's the partner who quits.
right? Yeah,
He was in Boardwalk
But-
Empire. He's very good.
but they hired Tatiana Maslany to carry those scenes, and she.
I've not seen her before, Logan. I know you said she's going to be She-Hulk.
Well, but she was Emmy nominated multiple times over for Orphan
She
Black, and I
won.
think she even won.
Yeah, on the last season of Orphan Black, I'm pretty sure she won.
But this
I don't think
she's.
I don't think she's great in Perry Mason.
I mean, it's a
my
single
opinion.
show. I never watched Orphan Black, but it was just okay. Like, yeah. So
Yeah, it's
Her
okay.
her
I
performance
think
was okay. Yeah, I mean, the
I
show
think half
I think
of it's
was
really good, and the rest isn't.
Yeah, agreed. So
Can I ask you
Yeah.
guys a trivia question that I just learned about Perry Mason not too long ago?
like old Perry Mason.
Yeah. Well, specifically the book series.
Okay.
Okay, so there are 3 book series. There are only 3 book series that have sold more books than Perry Mason. I'll give you one of them because it's a kind of a trick question. One of
Okay.
them is the Bible.
Okay. The Harry Potter.
What are the other 2? Yep, there you go. You got one.
How is the Bible a book series?
And it's a book by itself, so it's just it's sold more than any other book. So by that logic, it's sold more than
okay.
any series.
What's the
The Lord of the Rings series.
Nope,
is it Agatha Christie?
it is not.
Is it something we would even come close to guessing?
Maybe.
Maybe. Have there been major motion pictures made of said?
Yeah, well, not major, but there have definitely been motion pictures.
Okay.
There's been video games as well.
Ooh.
You got me, Clancy. Well, that's not a series though. Those are individual stories.
I mean, that's Jack.
It's a good guess, but
Jack
no.
Ryan stuff is.
Yeah. I don't know, Caleb.
Gosh,
I'll let Logan
series.
finish.
I don't know if
You
I
ready?
got anything.
It is Goosebumps.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't that. I mean, I had 5 or 6 of those growing up. Sure.
I think everybody
too.
did.
Yeah. That's fair.
Anyway, that surprised me that Perry Mason was that high on that list too, to be honest. I didn't realize.
I think it was very popular in like the 40s and 50s. Like it was. I mean, they were. That's why this is in the setting it is, because that's when the books were written. So, Okay, Jason, more TV shows. You got a lot there. I've got some myself, but I'll let you continue to see if we have any cross.
I watched Atlanta's Missing and Murdered, the child murder stories from Atlanta in the 70s. It is a 6-part HBO doc.
Mhm.
So I was introduced to the story of the serial killer from the Netflix show Mindhunter.
Mhm.
I had not heard of this before. So they pin 27 deaths on a gentleman named Wayne Williams. Um, all African American boys between like the age of 8 and 22, I think. Um, this was a huge bigger issue than I realized, even because I had never heard of it. Like the Netflix series was the first time I had heard of it. There's a lot to absorb in this documentary, and the end result is that it was a very messy, horrible thing.
Mhm.
These young boys were going missing, and nobody knew what was going on, and a lot of people, rightfully so, thought it was the Klan. Um, but the issue was is that they couldn't figure out how, in the middle of the day, a white person could come to an African American neighborhood and just take these kids. And that's how ultimately the FBI pinned it on this Wayne Williams guy. And ultimately the conclusion is I think that this guy was involved in the disappearance of some of these kids, but I don't think it was all of them. I think it's that messy. Um, I think at this time there were moving parts and a lot of horrible things going on. And the documentary does a really good job of um, not defending Wayne Williams, but just giving you all of the information and gathering it for you. Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta, currently is in it a little bit, and they acknowledge some of the mistakes that they made in trying to um, deal with a very complicated situation. I didn't know this at the time. Atlanta had its first African American mayor who was dealing with this crisis
Mhm.
as an African American, and the community was turning on him because they were trying to have Atlanta become this very hot, very metropolitan, very cultured place, and a place that they wanted tourists to come, they wanted industry to come to, they wanted um, to flourish, and it did a great job of doing that. But in that sacrifice of making that city maybe the African American destination it is today, even somewhat like the Jewish American generation or a destination it
Mhm.
is today, the sacrifice was covering this up and not addressing it and kind of sweeping it under the rug. And
Mhm.
it's pretty sad, and it's kind of scary, really, when you think about it, because these kids didn't matter to enough people. If you get what I'm saying, I'm not trying
Yeah.
to be like
No,
racially tinged guy.
no, I remember what that's sounds even similar to the storyline in Mindhunter. I mean, I remember watching that part of it, and
All of those characters are in it, Logan.
mhm.
Like
Oh yeah, I mean,
all of those, they're real people,
yeah, I
and
guess
they're in the documentary.
you just you look at it, and when you watch that show, you think, well, this is a storyline over exaggerated version, but maybe it really wasn't.
It was bad, and
Hmm.
it's worse. Like everything else, like it's worse than the numbers that they have to back it up. You know,
Hmm.
there are still unaccounted boys that are missing that aren't tied to that are assumed, but there's no way to be sure about it. It's just fucking horrible. It's hard to watch at times, but it's also like you can't stop because it's like I can't believe this happened. And I can't believe nobody cared enough to try to fix it until it got wildly out of control. And then now we don't even know like who did what. Like I'm sure this guy was involved, but I don't think he did all of it. And that's where it gets kind of like really murky and really kind of scary. Um, Having said that, I don't think it's HBO's best documentary work. But it's good. It's not great. I don't think it's their best work. But I would say if you're interested, go watch it. But I can't say you got to go see this.
Okay.
That's where I'd leave it. Logan, you do a show.
Okay. I started watching Ted Lasso. I love
Yes.
Ted Lasso.
Yes, we finally agree on a show.
Well, oh, we haven't agreed on shows before.
I mean, recently it seems like we're always on the opposite
Oh,
sides.
that's
So
okay.
I'm
I'm
glad that we found
4
one.
episodes in, and that show is just damn charming. That's what that show
Right?
is. Like it, like you said, it is Major League. That show is up and down. That the premise of that show is basically the Major League. I don't know what you do and how they ended or whatever for season 1, but I I'm just trying to figure out how you go beyond a single, you know, this is the story of Ted Lasso.
Oh,
There's a way.
they'll do it. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
All right. But yeah, they have every character in that show. I mean, they have their purpose. They are a ragtag bunch of people, obviously, but they have some talent. Like it's, and Ted's just Ted. Like that's the thing. Ted's just Ted. I got to know what's going on with the biscuits too. That's
Oh, you don't know that yet.
well, I
Okay, you
know.
will find.
Well, I know that I know where the biscuits come from.
Okay.
But I just feel like there's more to the story with the biscuits. Maybe there's
There's
not.
not much more to the story
Okay.
than that.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
Maybe a little tiny bit, but you pretty much know.
God, he's just so damn charming. That's the
Yeah.
that's the only word for him. It's
And they kind of set up a villain for the back half of it a little bit. Because
okay.
the first half of the episodes don't really have like a
Well, there's a
I guess they
villain.
kind of have a
There's
villain,
a
but not
villain,
really.
but a villain
Like,
who doesn't what would you call it? A remorseful villain?
yeah,
Almost like
yeah,
they want to be a villain, but not
right.
really.
So they kind of set up a stronger one for the second half of the season, but even in the end, you end up seeing what's going on there too, and it's just like instant heartbreak. Like, okay, now I understand what's been going on and why this is all the way it is.
Right. It's. I mean, even that's the
It's
thing with
such a like it's such an uplifting show. Like, like all these characters all have their moment where they're
Mhm.
vulnerable, but they come out of it, and
They come out of
it,
it better, and like,
yeah,
and
and
because
mostly because of Ted.
right, and
Yeah,
it's because of Ted, and he's just Ted.
yeah,
Like he's nobody special. He's just Ted Lasso.
yep, right,
The fact that this came out of just some dumb World Cup skit,
yeah.
like really, like
Way better than anything I ever expected.
yeah, and because you look at like Brockmire. I mean that's where that came. I mean that came from just Hank
Mhm.
Azaria doing some skit that he thought was funny. That show's okay. I'll
I've heard it gets really, really good in the third and fourth seasons, but I never made it that far.
I'm only
So
in the second season too, like somewhere in the second season, and yeah, it's just okay. Um,
yeah,
but maybe that is. Maybe if I just suffer through it long enough to get the third and fourth season, but to see if it's any good is. But yeah, that's I don't know. I'm not. I'm definitely going to finish that. That's for sure. I like it a lot. So it's just a matter of
yeah.
getting to that point. I'm
They
more.
they're all out now.
Yeah, I think
So
they're all out now. So that and they're half hour. So
yeah,
that makes it a lot easier to just plow through a half. You can go get through 2 episodes and just nothing in no time. So I like that. So
yeah.
uh, back to you, Jason. Unless Caleb, you got a pile of
Caleb, do
shows.
you have something to throw in here?
I finished Utopia,
Okay.
which I really like, but it is a little bit. You were talking about teenage melodrama earlier.
Mm,
It is a little bit of that, so be
really?
warned if you go into it. There's
Hmm.
some teenage melodrama going on there. Um, I don't think so. The big two names of it are John Cusack and Rainn Wilson, and I think that they both do okay, but these are roles that I don't know if they fit quite perfectly.
Hmm.
So I think they both do okay, but I think the other actors do a better job than them of keeping everything together. It's kind of weird seeing the stars kind of struggle through their roles and then seeing all these supporting actors uh really doing a pretty good job, I thought.
You know
Um
when I just pull it up on IMDb, Rainn Wil like they always have like the top cast, like the top four.
mhm.
Rainn Wilson's not even in the top four.
He's not even in the first episode, which is and
Mm.
neither is Cusack. So it's a little weird that you have these two big names and then you just don't use them. But
How was
um,
there was a character in there named Wilson Wilson?
yep, there is a character named
How was
Wilson
he in that
Wilson.
show?
You never see the bottom of his face. No, I'm kidding.
I was
Oh.
going to make that joke. I was like, yeah, he's the guy from Home Improvement.
I'm super confused. Okay, yeah, I was like, wait a minute, now I get it. Okay, yeah, just because he's in another show that I watched, so I was just curious how he was in that.
He's really good,
Good,
actually.
good. Okay,
He's probably one of the highlights of that show to me.
okay, good. He was a really good actor in You're the Worst. God,
Mm.
Jason's doing the Wilson thing now, and
Can I be the podcast Wilson, please?
sure.
Logan, you just got to love your family more, and it'll solve everything.
I know.
Isn't that really what this show's about?
I got to give Jill more attention. Brad, just you got to let him fail on his own. You can't hold his hand. I can't remember the other two names of the kids, but Jonathan Taylor
Randy.
Thomas, Randy, yeah,
And
JTT.
Mark.
I mean, he's gonna bloom. That's what he does. His hair,
Mhm.
that haircut's just gonna take off, and then the other kid no one cares about, so it's all right.
Yeah, he
know-
he went goth in the later seasons. It was really
That's
weird.
right.
Yeah.
And
You
he
know,
got like
Logan, I
super
don't-
tall.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you too much advice, but as this podcast, Wilson, I want to say that you're too hard on Al. I
Mhm.
think the Christmas no Al joke was a little offensive. Okay. And then number 2 is what happened to Pam Anderson and why did you let her go? Because she was smoking hot, and this Heidi, she's just okay.
Oh no, Heidi is
Disagree.
so much better than Pam.
Disagree. Yep.
I actually
Logan, we agree
with that as
again.
well. I'm Wilson. I got hot takes. I'm hot take Wilson.
God, remember when Heidi dated Al for a little bit?
I
That
don't.
actually happened.
That happened. Yeah.
Like on the
I remember
show,
that.
not
well, obviously.
Richard Karn did not date. Forgot what her name is now. The model's name, but
Heidi.
Heidi.
We'll call it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, Utopia. All right.
Yeah, it's good. I
Okay.
like it, and they do the one thing that kind of irritated me is that they don't really wrap up anything with the finale. So if this show
Not a
doesn't get a
cliffhanger?
second season, it's all cliffhanger. Like none of the plot lines got resolved in the finale.
Oh,
So it was a little weird to see that, but hopefully it
So-
gets a second season.
so can I do some TV news real quick of something I just read? A
Sure.
favorite show of ours just got canceled today.
Teenage Bounty Hunters. I know.
No.
It's disappointing.
Oh no. This is it was a COVID issue.
Yeah. hmm
Glow.
Yeah.
Season 4 of Glow, the final season, is not going to happen. They said
Very
they said
disappointed in that.
they had filmed an episode and a half in early March of the final season, and they just said it's going to be too expensive to try to monitor that large of a cast, doing physical activity together, and they just didn't feel like they could make the set safe enough, and they also didn't feel like they could hold those
Bullshit.
actors to those contracts and those dates
Bullshit.
for that long.
Netflix will just use any excuse possible to cancel a show because
Yeah.
it's so much easier. It's so much cheaper to spin up a new one than to
Mhm.
keep going on one people actually like.
Right. I guess it's the question. I mean, what do you I mean? I don't know what their contracts were good for, like, or what they had to, if they had to shell out a decent amount of money since they'd already started production on that, and I have no idea. It's just interesting that that they'd already had it written and were shooting it, and they're canceling it. Like that just doesn't seem right.
Yep. Yeah, Netflix is really irritating that way. Like they'll just, if the numbers don't match up, it doesn't matter what people think of it. They have no
The show had
qualms about just
13
canceling
Emmy
something.
nominations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, I don't know what they were going to do for the fourth season, but I enjoyed the hell out of those first three. That's for sure.
No joke though. Teenage Bunny Hunters was also canceled, and I was really disappointed about that.
I didn't even know
like
what that
that
was a show. I'm sorry. I thought you were making up something.
What network was that on?
Netflix.
Oh, so also a
Oh.
Netflix just cancellation. So Netflix is just shitting on your day.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
I'll give you a
They've
big
also
hug tomorrow,
canceled.
Caleb.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm saying
Um,
sorry for your loss.
This was a while ago, but they also canceled I Am Not Okay With This, which was a really good show, I thought, and never even got to the main like hook, really. It was
Mhm.
all kind of mysterious, and they're never going to get there. It's just so irritating with Netflix. You get this, you get a show that you like, you watch a season of it, you're like, yeah, I can't wait for season 2, and then you just never get it. It's getting
I think
old.
that's the big difference between Netflix and the traditional networks.
Mhm.
The least likely to cancel a show is HBO because they will just see it through. Probably second is FX, third AMC.
Mhm.
I think those are the big ones.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I don't know Amazon's history well enough. They don't cancel a lot without a second season, it seems like to me, but I don't know
They
for
don't have a.
sure.
I mean, their track record. They just don't have as much volume as the others.
But I do agree with that, Caleb, but I'm always very cautious with a Netflix show. Like that's the reason I didn't start Ozark to this day, is that I wanted to make sure that it was going to survive. And so now I feel better about diving into that because I know it has survived a couple of seasons. But I know that when I watch Perry Mason, Logan, whether it's good or bad or how critics feel about it,
Mhm.
HBO is going to let it ride. Like they'll give it a go. The
Mhm.
same thing we talked about the leftovers earlier. Like they'll let it go. They're just because that's who they are, but they don't greenlight everything like HBO does. So
Mhm.
like that's the push and pull between those two networks. Like one has a little more integrity, and you can feel good about early adoption, and one is like
Not
every
every.
teenager in the world has an account, so we,
Yeah, not everything's gonna be Stranger Things. Like it's not gonna light the world on fire, and they've got to realize that. So, um, anyway, Jason, back to you, I guess.
Let's see. The next thing I want to mention, second to last, is so those were two pretty heavy takes. Perry Mason, dead kid, not so fun.
Mhm.
Lots of
More
dead
dead
kids in
kids.
real life. More. So I fired up Cobra Kai on Caleb's recommendation.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Uh,
you did.
this show it is funnier than you think it's going to be. It's better than you think it's going to be, and boy is it ridiculous. And it has the dignity to let you know that it's aware. Hi,
Mhm.
we're aware this is stupid. Yes, the
Mhm.
Karate Kid was made in this time. We are doing this now. Totally unrelated yet related. Somewhat self-serious, the Karate Kid, like they're tapping into
Somewhat.
preteen angst. Mr. Miyagi, he was stoic. Okay, he was giving good advice to all of us to grow up by, and this kind of just turns all of that on its head and is just so dumb. But it was just what I needed to cleanse the palate before I took
Yeah,
on something way more serious.
it
Caleb,
is
I
a
like that show a
great
lot.
palate cleanser. Yep.
It's like it's got the dumb sitcom thing. It's just like this is totally non-threatening, and I like
But
it.
it's also got a little bit of like that compelling, I gotta watch the next one because like who is he gonna ask her out, and like the stupid stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, no, it's good. And oh, jeez, this is Logan.
Mhm.
There, someone. I'll just, I'll just let you know. The only
Mhm.
spoiler is that someone draws a dick on someone's picture, like their face.
Mhm.
So spray painted
Who
dick,
drew the dicks?
and there's a little bit of a like who drew the dick going
Oh,
on there.
okay.
That is a legit story in one episode. Is who drew the dick?
I
All right.
love
And
how the
it's real
person
stupid.
the person who sends two other people to paint over, and they start from the outside. So it's the whole time they're doing this, it's still just a dick on a face.
The dick is still there. Yep, it's
That's
still there.
good.
Why'd you start on the outside? Well, have you ever tried to? I'm not going to do that. It'll be all uneven.
That's fair.
It's stupid. I don't know. Caleb might feel more strongly about recommending you watch it, Logan. It's dumb and I enjoyed it, but I can't say you got to go
Oh
see
yeah,
this.
it's not going to win awards or anything, but it's a
It's funny.
it's a fun watch. I
Okay.
think.
If I get to that point, I will check it out.
I have one more show. What about you guys?
I've
I
got.
think it might be the same one for me.
It might be the same
Maybe.
one for me too.
We'll
So
see.
go ahead.
Is it Fargo?
I don't
Is
know.
it
It is
Fargo?
not Fargo.
Oh,
I have
Oh,
not
I
started
have
Fargo.
Fargo.
You guys talk about Fargo.
we should probably table that. Let's
I feel
table
like we
Okay.
need to
Fargo.
wait until you've watched some Fargo. I'm good, like, because the first night of Fargo was two. It was a double episode.
Yeah.
I only watched one of those episodes. So, and the third episode is already out too. So I've only got one
Yeah,
episode
and
under my
I
belt.
haven't watched the third one yet, so
Fair
we're all
warning,
behind.
Jason. I would say, and Caleb, maybe would be what I would say. I feel like it starts slow.
It starts
Like
thick.
the first, yeah, thick is a
It's
good way to put
they
it.
lay
Like,
a lot on you real quick.
like a
There
lot
are.
of history.
I was listening to an interview, and I think he said there are 22 main characters in this season. There's a lot of characters, and they are all important.
The first,
it's a lot.
The first 30 minutes is, oh gosh, it was hard to keep up with. Like, and from a way that was just like, but it was slow but hard to keep up, if that makes any sense at all. Like, they were just introducing characters and families, and but at the same time it was just, I'm not even that interested in these people. Like, why are they showing me
Oh,
all
I
these
was.
people? But you were okay. I was not.
I was from the opening minute. I was in on it. It's like, this is cool. I like the background they're setting up. But I do completely understand. There's just a lot of information they throw at you really quick. A lot of very important characters that are just kind of in the background at first.
Oh yeah, and you could
So
recognize who they were because you was like, oh well, I know
yeah,
Jason Schwartzman's in this, so and I know where this person falls, and like that person, I've seen that actor before, so there's no way he's just going to be a
yeah.
background character. So there's some of that going on, but gosh, yeah, it was almost painful. I felt like that first half hour for me. Once they really kind of started getting the other character, like I would say, I guess the main characters, which at the same time, there's like 10 of them at this point in
Yeah.
time going, then the first episode really gets going for
Yeah.
me. But that was just threw me for a loop at the beginning. So we'll table that discussion. And so, Jason, what was your other show then that we?
Yeah. I'm curious now.
Mhm. Are you on mute?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I am on mute.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
we're good.
I hit the cough button and then didn't take it off.
Ah.
So I watched The Plot Against America. Another HBO joint. I mentioned David Simon a little bit earlier. This is David Simon's next show on HBO, most famous for The Wire, The Deuce, this. He also did Generation Kill, and Treme.
Hang on one second. I'm sorry to interrupt, Jason, but we just got a commercial on your TV for the Hardee's burger that we're all supposed
Yeah,
to.
it was happening. It's over now, but I was just like,
Okay,
pointing at the screen down here.
Do you want me to rewind it?
No, it's good. I think I'm good.
You guys, we can stop what we're doing. We can break down frame by frame the Hardee's commercial if you want.
I mean,
I
when
wanted you to
when
know
that
we
prime
weren't
rib plopped
freaking out
down
at
on
your
the burger,
yeah.
Well, then they throw the cheese on top. It's so like, oh man, Hardee's, what are you doing? I mean, I love you, but what are you doing? You're trying to kill all of us. In the same way that, never mind. I'm not going to do a segue. I was about to be insensitive because this show is so. Okay, I've been thinking about how I was going to describe it. It's complicated. It is about a 2004 novel by an author by the name of Philip Roth, and this novel is about an alternate history beyond 1940, where the Nazi regime is occupying Europe. Meanwhile, in America, the election is about to happen, and there is a Jewish working class family from New Jersey that is worried about Charles Lindbergh running for president on the Republican ballot using dog whistle fascist language to get votes. And so I want to set up a timeline for you guys.
Mhm.
This is about the 1940s, before Pearl Harbor, before the U.S. was engaged in World War II.
Okay.
And the argument is that if you're Jewish and you live in America, you want the United States to go to war for your people that are suffering elsewhere, right? Kind of
Mhm.
an easy thing to understand.
Right.
Charles Lindbergh is running with that in mind. He is speaking to the America First crowd, saying we do not want to go to war. This is not what we're about. We are not going to help these people. And when he's doing that, what is happening is, and I think what compelled David Simon to make this was, in the decade plus since Roth wrote this book, people read it, enjoyed it, but thought it was absurd because it couldn't possibly go this bad because it's an alternate history. Lindbergh was never elected. FDR did an unprecedented third term. And no one would ever be able to say these kind of things to this kind of crowd and be rewarded for it. But that is exactly what happened in 2016 here.
Mhm.
And so the timeline, this book was written in 2004. In 2016, we have who we have was elected running on certain principles that we thought were gone in America
Mhm.
that turned out to be very much alive. There's a seedy underbelly. There's a very mean and scary element to our country that has kind of revealed itself in the past few years. And for me, I'm a 37-year-old guy, and I honestly thought some of that was dead and buried and gone, and it's not. Like, people still hate people for all sorts of reasons. And so 2016 happened, and then this show premieres in February of 2020, and it is about a man saying all this coded language about Jews getting elected, and then it becomes harder and harder and harder for this family to live in America safely. And it would be ridiculous if it didn't draw so many parallels to where we're at now. And so, thanks, Loki. Appreciate the
I feel
cameo.
like
Hi,
it's the
Loki.
same time. Like it's right around 10 o'clock every time we
It
do
You
this
think?
podcast.
It really is.
Yeah,
Loki comes
it really
by.
is. Yeah, there's Loki.
He's telling me it's
10
time for
o'clock.
bed.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Let's go to bed. So it ratchets up the tension, right? Lindbergh's running, then he gets elected, and then Jewish Americans are scared. And they're starting to see these groups, these organizations, become emboldened and become less likely to bury the way they feel about Jews. And so some of that becomes institutionalized in a way. And with Lindbergh in power being the president, he has made it possible, acceptable for you to hate this segment of the American population. And so this show premieres in 2020 with that premise. Things happen in the show that cause outrage and riots and violence. And George Floyd's death happens in May of this year, after the show premieres, over a decade after the book was written. And there is so much about this story that they're telling with Lindbergh, and not just segments of the population that aren't white, that aren't the America First crowd. It's incredible. It almost predicts some of the things that we saw on the news in the spring of this year. Granted, it was written by a Jew who felt this, who saw this, who understand, more well researched. I'm a white kid from the Midwest. Like, I have lived a very comfortable and safe life. I know nothing what it was like to be a minority in this time or be persecuted for any reason. I don't know anything about this, but it's crazy because it's 80 years ago now, and the fears of these characters are the fears that are very real and somewhat of a fragile democracy we have now. And it's poignant. And I literally like go episode to episode, and I can't believe how much of it applies to the things that have happened this year And it is not about the things that happened this year because it was before this stuff. And these parallels are unbelievable. It is. If I'm David Simon, I'm sitting back and watching the news like, what have I done good or have I done bad?
Like, how did this happen? Yeah.
Yeah, how did I predict this civil unrest? Because that's what this show is about, and it's crazy. And Lindbergh is elected because he says he hates a group of people, and there's enough people that believe in that in the story that he becomes president. And we live in the world we live in today, and it's all really kind of eerie. It is superb television. Maybe the strongest show I've watched this year. And
Wow.
I would say, I don't know. I can't promise that you guys would enjoy it, because I can't promise. Caleb and I have talked about this a lot. I can't promise anyone that they'll enjoy The Wire. Like, The Wire's work, it is, you have to pay attention to it, and you have to love its relentless nature and its grounded nature. It's not quite as loosey goosey as The Deuce, Caleb. Like, the Deuce is fun. This is not fun. But I think it's important, and I learned a little bit about. Yeah, it's not very long. It's a miniseries, and I guarantee you, it is nominated for a buttload of Emmys next year. It is coming. So it is a official stamp of approval recommendation from me. There's a companion podcast also that is excellent. There's an NPR host that talks to David Simon, and they break down each episode. And Simon kind of explains how he's translating the book into the show, because it can't be full one-to-one. There are compromises that are made from a book to a TV show. The book is told from the 10-year-old son's perspective only, and in that it is an on-purpose, unreliable narrator, because it's told in the perspective of a 10-year-old boy. And the show, each character has their own mind, their own screen time and stuff like that. So it is different, but it's really fascinating to listen to David Simon talk about this show. And then it's also eerie because something happens in the show, and I'm like, well, that just happened here. Like, that just happened. Like, this is a story about 40 years ago, but it just happened in the streets of America. So it's crazy. It was impactful for sure, and I dare say I learned something that I was ignorant about. So that's that. But I can't promise you guys will enjoy it. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But it is grown up television. It is like, sit down and absorb this, and whether you're entertained or not, it is saying something. And you may not agree with it, like. But it's
something
it's
that
provocative.
Was originally designed as fiction, I guess. That was
yes. That's what's crazy about it. It is fiction, but yet, like,
I mean,
8 years later,
same thing. Like, people say on the book 1984. I mean, how much of that has come true? And so there's, it's a historical fiction writing that is what would happen if this were a type of thing were to happen. Well, sure enough, it did, but. I mean, it's interesting, that they were probably going for more like Man in the High Castle kind of thought, but it turned out a different direction. So
yeah, it's not as and I don't absurdist like as Man in the High Castle, and I don't mean that as an insulting thing. This is just the first 3 episodes of the show are a parlor drama, and what I mean by that is it's like it's a family arguing amongst themselves, like about the state of the United States, and they've got a loudmouth, very opinionated father, played by Morgan Spector. I don't know if you guys know that actor. The big names in this are Winona Ryder and John Turturro. But Morgan Spector is the father and the lead of the show, and he's excellent. But he hears something on the radio and he just yells at everybody because he's so opinionated, and then naturally his family disagrees with him on some stuff, but as things get more and more dangerous, they start to coalesce. Like, they start to realize how serious it is, and they start to kind of cover for each other, and it becomes less about the family arguing with one another about how they feel about just contemporary politics to we are all in danger and we've got to figure out a way to deal with this. And we don't feel safe. And we are supposed to feel safe because this is America. We are supposed to feel safe and we don't feel safe. So
I'm surprised you mentioned Emmys, and I'm surprised this didn't get more attention.
It probably
it-
well,
was.
it'll
Was it
be next
eligible?
year.
No, it was
Mhm.
eligible this year.
Was it really?
Yeah,
It was
A,
the only
a
thing.
February 2020 show is eligible?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's. Let
because
me look at the calendar.
because they do seasons or more or fall to
June.
spring.
It's June
Yeah.
1 through
Oh.
May 31,
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah,
it was nominated
in the window.
for outstanding cinematography, but that's it.
Do you have
It's
to
interesting.
does there have to be a
What-
a limit?
Well,
Because it aired in March of 2016, so it would have been 4 episodes in at that time. Does it have to be complete?
well, if I
don't
think
know.
it was over before May 31st, so I think that's the kicker.
Is that the cutoff?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
On the April 20th. Yeah, April 20th.
I'm just looking at like reviews and stuff, and while you love it, I mean the critics aren't as high on it.
Yeah,
Like
I understand that.
number wise. That's all. I'm just going off of a number. Seriously, Cat.
yeah, but just hearing how like relevant it is, I'm surprised it didn't get more attention.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I maybe and looking at the list of Emmys, we talked about it last week, but like, I don't have a problem with any of those shows. I think TV's really strong right now.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it did get nominated, like it's in limited series, so that means it would go up against Watchmen. So it's not winning anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I was surprised because I thought I would just kind of burn through this, and then I wound up absorbing it in a different kind of way because of when it came out and what it predicted about where we're at. It's really kind of like I said, eerie, and I think it's kind of eerie. Like, this is a story about alternate reality 1940, and we are seeing what happened in the show happen here, and it's crazy. It's crazy. But that's it. I burnt through that.
My cat is literally eating Kleenexes out of the Kleenex box. I don't know what. I'm trying to find something to throw at him. Stop it!
Make a mess. Make a mess.
What are you doing? Don't. Oh my god. Okay, if I just make a loud enough thud, he'll run away. Okay. Other shows that I watched. Caleb, are you caught up on The Boys?
I am. Yeah, there's one left.
One
right?
episode left. I liked the episode you didn't like. The one with Sean Ashmore. So
yeah,
but I think that just goes because I'm maybe a little more apologetic for that show than I'm an apologist, I guess, for that show. But that show's also going in some odd places with some racism and nationalism type stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be interested how they end that this season. Jason's losing.
Caleb, yeah.
I'll watch it just because I'm
watch
already
that.
this far, but
I like this season. I obviously you're not as high on it, but I like it. So we can agree to disagree because I mean that show is.
I firmly believe they should just rebrand it to being called Homelander and just follow him around all the time. He's the only part of that show that's interesting anymore to me.
Yeah, I mean the boys themselves I feel like have always been secondary characters compared to the superheroes of that show, and I'm perfectly fine with that as long as they don't focus on them that much. So yeah. Oddly enough, we did get some new TV shows, like what I would call network TV shows, new TV shows. So Family Guy came back, and Stewie said his first word, which we're 20 some seasons in, and Stewie just said his first word. So that's kind
Well,
of
I
a just
mean,
a,
Maggie still hasn't. So
no. Maggie said there was an episode where she said her first word.
okay, it's hard. Well, there's a couple of times when she has, but they always kind of retcon it too. So
Yeah, that's true. They've
they're
had to
like,
do
"Oh,
that a
that
few
was a
times.
dream" or whatever it was.
Well, didn't know though the first time she did it, like didn't after like she takes out her pacifier and she said "da da," but nobody was in the room.
I don't remember.
I don't, I'm pretty sure I've watched that one recently. So, um, no, but Family Guy's still Family Guy. I mean, it's whatever. I don't have any discussion about it. I just thought it was interesting that that's where they're at. Is that Stewie said his first word,
It
and
was
it's
same with The Simpsons too. It was another episode of The Simpsons. I'm glad that show's back, but it was nothing to write home about.
no, yeah, that's it. It's kind of having. It's nice to have that show some of those animated shows just to be like, oh yeah, and this is back to be here while I eat something real quick or yeah, like whatever. I will
Yeah,
say
it's a companion. It's
it's a
companion TV,
companion
right?
TV. Yeah,
That's
mm,
that's
there,
what that show is for me.
and a lot of it's like the show I watch before bed for me, like that kind of stuff. Like it's a nice, easy, just bring myself to bed. There was I don't think it's coming back by any means, but there was a South Park special. They did an hour-long pandemic special. That was entertaining. That was one of the
Did you
better.
watch
Okay,
it? I want to
it was
I
watch that.
did.
okay.
Okay.
Um, it's been better. It was better than the South Parks they've done in the last couple years.
Definitely agree.
Which so you watched it?
I watched the special. I dropped off of the series a season and a half ago.
Yeah, something like that. Probably. I think you dropped off a season and a half ago. I've still been watching it, but this last season was the worst season of South Park I'd ever seen. Um, so, but this was good. I mean, I don't know where they're at with producing new shows, if they're going to be producing new shows other than this. Uh, but yeah, I don't know where they go from here. But that was entertaining. I'll leave it at that's kind of where it was. I laughed a lot more than I have in
Yeah,
previous South Park episodes.
right.
So yeah, it was good. It's
I
on.
don't know what it was about that, but I was like, I'm gonna watch this, and I haven't watched South Park in over a decade.
Well,
But I was
because
like, I think I'm gonna watch this.
because they're good at political commentary, and that's where we're at.
Yeah.
There's a lot to there's a
Yeah.
lot
Sure.
of content for them to parody.
Yeah. If you're unpacking all of that, I suppose that's why it's good. Then,
Right.
right? Yeah.
So I mean, they haven't been live since the pandemic started. So, and I also watched Saturday Night Live that came back. Um, Jim Carrey as Joe Biden, like as a regular recurring thing. So they've got now two celebrities that are playing the presidential people, which I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on that are, but it's always been a cast member, and
That's probably a reflection of the strength of the cast at the moment. Probably.
maybe yeah, the cast isn't bad right now. I would say the cast is not too bad.
Yeah. I don't know. You're right. I don't. I wouldn't take shots at any particular cast member on the show, and I think it's genuinely pretty funny. So I guess I don't know. Maybe things just have to be right for that character.
Well, or it's
Yeah.
they've got to bring in. I mean, it's network television, so maybe that's the only way that they get more eyes on it is to have a bigger name celebrity on there. Because hosting SNL anymore is not like what it was. It's not the hot spot that it once was. Bill Burr is hosting next week, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, that's kind of like that. Kind of bums me out a little bit. Like an American institution that kind of
Hmm.
loses its value that way. That's kind of
Hmm.
maybe that's the old man sentimentalist in me. Yeah.
Hmm. And there were some good skits this week. There were some real bad skits this week. They tried doing an NBA bubble draft, but it was for like all of the what did we call them? LA girls. What were they called?
What?
The hookers that essentially like
L.A. work.
LA work. The LA work, yeah. They did a draft of the LA work, and it was very poor taste and poor done. Like it was bad. But there were some like some funny sketches and stuff in there. Weekend Update is always I like Colin Jost and Michael Che. I think they're very good at Weekend Update right now, so I think they're doing good. There was one joke in there that not in Weekend Update, but one of the skits. They transported a kid who was in like it was like the year 2000, and they were like, "Oh, here's what the future is going to look like for you," and they started with him playing Tony Hawk, like but Tony Hawk on a PS1, and they transported him into the future, and he's still living in his mom's basement, but he's like he's all excited about the fact that they've redone Tony Hawk and it looks amazing now. He's like, look at these graphics, like all this stuff, and he keeps telling him, he's like, well, yeah, but you've lost your job to this pandemic. He's like, there's all this stuff going on and everything else, and then the kicker of the whole thing was like the whole time you'd only seen his mom, and then his mom came downstairs when he was younger, and they made his mom look a little bit older when she came downstairs the next time, but followed behind her was Keenan Thompson's character, and she's like, would you? She said something like, would you tell your son what to do? And he looks over and he goes, you married Keenan Thompson from all that? Like, he's like, 2020 is incredible.
That's
Like,
pretty funny.
that made me laugh pretty hard. Like that was a real dumb joke that was just like, yep, okay, like that was pretty funny. So otherwise, yeah, that was I don't have any other TV. Caleb, do you have anything else? We've been going for a while, so
Nope.
all right. Well, we have our anybody else have anything for the day, I guess? All right. Well, we have our marching orders for the prime rib whatever at Hardee's.
Prime Whib. I'll have the Prime Whib, whatever, please. Thank you.
Yeah, God, I'm gonna have to look into this and decide which one I want to kill myself on. So Caleb we'll eat one meal that day, and we'll
Right.
starve the rest of the day. So, anyway, this has been the Master of Unlocking podcast, and we will see you next week.
Bye.